All right, welcome back to RaceXOnline.com. I am Kellen Brower, and joining me today is the newest edition of the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna Factory Racing Squad, Joshua Varize, moving up to the factory program for the final couple nationals of the year. So first off, congratulations, Joshua. It's obviously huge for you. How does it feel to be in those black and white colors right there?
Oh, yeah, thank you. It feels amazing, like just a dream come true, and just to get the opportunity to fill in on a factory team for the last two outdoor national rounds it's for sure a blessing, and I'm stoked and can't wait for it.
So how did this materialize? Like, when did you get the call? When did they maybe even start talking to you about it? Like, how did it all come about?
I was on my way home from Indiana, and the Ironman round, and it was Monday, and we were driving, and then my dad had to make a couple of phone calls, and he had to get on his phone real quick and try and figure out our motorhome situation, because our motorhome is still in the shop getting worked on. So I took over the wheel for a little bit, and as I was driving, I got a phone call from Nate Ramsey, which is the team manager for KTM Orange Brigade. And I was sitting in traffic, and he's calling me, and he tells me, and I was just like, no way. Like, it's just crazy. Like, this is like, I feel like I'm like in a dream, and I don't want to wake up. And, I was sitting in traffic, and I was like, dude, I need to go. Like, I want to be pedal to the metal all the way back to SoCal to, get there and start testing, or, ride the bike and get ready for Paula.
Yeah. So have you had a chance to ride the bike, or when will that happen if you haven't yet?
Yeah, I haven't. I just got home last night, which was Monday night. And then today kind of did a bunch of errands, running around trying to just refurbish everything that has been, gear wise, which is like my knee braces, get those refurbished up and stuff like that. And so I'll ride the bike tomorrow, which is Wednesday.
Okay. You've had a great season so far, running 18th in points now. You've had, I think your best finish was an 11th at Budds Creek. Is this kind of almost like a vindication of your success this year, that you have a factory team that's looked at you and wanted you to come aboard to help get some points down the stretch here?
Yeah, I hope so. With this season, like last year I was fighting for points. And I knew I was just gonna do my thing again for 2021, and just keep, pushing at it and keep getting better and better. And this year, the beginning of the season, it was kind of like I was right there. I think first moto, I didn't even score points. Second moto scored, I think got like 19. So I was, I knew I was like in the realm of being able to score points every round. And every round went on, and I felt like I was getting progressively better. And then on the 3-week break, I made, a lot of changes to like my fitness, eating and stuff like that. And some changes to my bike as well, like minor changes. And then going into after the 3-week break, the changes I made showed that what I did was right. And, it was working, with finishing inside the top 15, for the first Unadilla and Budds Creek, and then Budds Creek being like my best national ever, going 11-11, was like, that one felt real good, and I want to for sure be at that be in that area every round.
I heard a little bit about your nutrition change, something about like you would go to the track and not bring enough food or something like that. What fundamentally brought about that idea for change, and what have you done to make those changes, so now that you're nourished throughout the day and eating the right things?
Yeah, like whenever I'd go to the track to practice, or even on race dates, like for anyone, I feel like it's hard to eat. It's just weird. Like you just not like, the appetite just not there. And obviously, that's the most important thing is eating. I've always been super bad with breakfast. Like I just wake up in the morning and I just get my day started and don't ever eat breakfast. And
same.
Yeah, like it's just hard, but I know how important it is. So after just really thinking about like, what can I do to be better, physically and mentally, and just be better overall. And I knew that I need to start being better with, eating breakfast in the mornings, like the most important meal, So, I just kind of just put my mindset to making sure I eat breakfast every morning. And then, I've never been like big on testing, stuff on my bike. I just ride.
Right.
So I know like how much testing goes in with factory teams and stuff. And I kind of wanted to like get into that realm of things where like I want to test a lot of suspension stuff. I wanted to test stuff to see like what I can do to make me feel more comfortable on the bike. And then like what doesn't make me feel comfortable on the bike. Like, oh, I don't like that change. I want to keep it this way, or that change was really good. So doing that, and then now I'll have an official off season with, not racing until Supercross starts up, without being, amateur. There's always amateur races, and having this big of a break is nice to, dial stuff in like that. And like I said, eating, I know that was going to make me better. So I knew that whatever will make me better, I can do. So I just made sure I, put my mindset towards that and do it.
How much of that nutrition and training wise as well? Because now you've transitioned from being an amateur, which you were going to kind of be a little bit of this year. And then they eventually moved you up to do the full program where you were going to race all of Supercross, all of motocross. You still did, I think, Freestone, but you didn't do Loretta's. Now you're not going to do Minios. Like, how much has your program changed from what you did as an amateur to now, nutrition wise and training wise, what you do to prepare for racing a pro motocross race, for example?
It didn't really change too much, honestly. Like, I feel like everything stayed pretty similar. Obviously with amateur races, you train hard up to the race, and then you get there like 5 days prior, or however long you need to get there to pre-stage and pull in. And then you're there for a week or so. And then, you after that race, you go back home and you kind of take a couple days off, and you kind of get back into training again, where outdoors is more of like, or Supercross, then leading into outdoors, it's more like you have to really work hard on testing and doing all that stuff to be ready for it. And then once the season starts, it's kind of like just like maintaining, where you're not training as hard in between rounds, because you only have a 1 week break, or 6 days break before the next round. Where amateur racing, you have like, you race maybe twice a day, where Loretta's sometimes it's only once a day, but you're there for a full week. Where outdoors, you race and you do 2 35-minute motos in 1 day plus practice, like 15-minute sprints, and then you only have 6 days to recoup and get back, get your physical or fitness back to, relax, and then get ready for the next weekend. So I feel like I've learned how to really reset on the, only having 6 days off the bike.
And then we talked a little bit about your season and how well it's gone both indoors and now outdoors. Moving up to the factory program like this for these last 2 rounds, does it change your goals at all, or does it kind of change the pressure or the expectation that you maybe put on yourself now that you're almost kind of like trying out in a sense for them, I guess, or maybe still trying to prove yourself to other suitors looking for you potentially for a ride next year,
Yeah, for sure. Like, I would say the pressure might be a little bit higher, obviously. Like, I want to do good, and I want to show everyone, like, what I'm capable of doing. And being on an amateur bike, or, I mean, it's not an amateur bike. My bike is really fast, but I just want to be able to have the, obviously with my suspension and everything, I always can make those phone calls, but now having like people there to like really, like, the only person they're watching, or, the only couple people that they're watching is like, that's their job to make sure that the suspension's doing what it needs to do and stuff.
Right.
So having that, and having with the team knowing like already like what gearing to run, or what kind of setup to run for the race. Where like me last year, that's what I dealt with a lot, was like going to the race, like, well, I don't know what gearing we're supposed to run, or, what's the best gearing. So it's kind of like during practice, we're trying to figure that out, but practice is like really important for gate pick. So, having that knowledge already of knowing like what the bike setup needs to be, and having all the tools, and having all those people there to, help make your day go by easier and a lot better, knowing to make little changes that could possibly be better or whatnot. So, that's what I think. And then also, getting the opportunity to ride for a factory team. Obviously it's only for the last 2 rounds, but hopefully that I can use this opportunity to show other teams, like what I'm capable of doing on a under a factory team, and how well I do under pressure. Like I don't crack as easy and stuff like that. So
Yeah. So do you maybe even put a number on it in terms of I like want to finish here, I'll be disappointed, or do you kind of just want to go out there and do what you've done all year and know that that works for you, obviously, and see how it kind of turns out now on a different bike?
yeah. So after the 3-week break, going in Unadilla, I was really pushing for being inside the top 15 the rest of the season. Like, that's what my goal was being inside the top 15 for the rest of the races. Like, just that was what I was pushing for. And the first two motos at Unadilla, I accomplished that, and I was really happy with how I rode, and especially being after the 450s and at Unadilla. Like
Yeah.
Unadilla was insane. So I was really happy with that. And then obviously Budds Creek, I went 11-11, and that felt amazing. Like battling up there, for that top 10 position was like the best feeling ever. Like just the moto went by a lot quicker too. I didn't get as tired. It was like, I was like almost like laughing in my helmet the whole race.
Yeah.
Like you're having so much fun. And so, like I said, yeah, that's my goal for the rest of the season. Obviously now, finishing in the top 15, now my goal is the top 10. And that's been my goal ever since I started, was to be finishing in the top 10, because once you're in the top 10, there is always a few factory guys behind you. And obviously being a privateer, that feels like really good, because like, okay, well, what I'm doing is working, and we'll just keep going that way.
Yeah.
And then at Ironman in the first moto, I had a bad start. It was right there in like 13th or something, and then tipped over. So I actually finished outside the top 15, which I wasn't like mad about. I was kind of like, I wasn't like, man, I didn't do it. I knew like I had a little mishap with going down. So I was like, I can't stress too much about that. But then I backed it up the next moto with getting 11th, which honestly, that moto is like the toughest moto I've had this year. And when I came off the track and asked my dad, hey, what place did I get? He's like, oh, you got 11th. I was like, dang, no way. Like, I honestly felt like I was kind of like, I don't know where I'm at. And like I was really tired. So I thought, you know what? I don't know if I'm in the top 15. When I heard 11th, I was like, okay, that felt good, because I had more in the tank.
Yeah.
Like, as of like, since I was so tired, if I wasn't as tired, I know I could have pushed harder and maybe, been battling for that top 10 spot. But so that's how I like to set goals for myself and reach them. And when I reach that goal, I like to set another goal and just keep going up.
I like that. After we talked, I think it was like right at the end of Supercross, or maybe after Supercross, you said that you hadn't even had the phone ring once about something for 2022. Has that changed at all this year? And has anybody reached out to you? Have you talked to anybody in the pits that is keeping an eye on you potentially for a 2022 spot? And what have you heard maybe from Ramsey or people within the team about this spot and what it could maybe lead into for you as well?
I've had a couple satellite teams get in contact with me. One of them really wanted me, and what they wanted to have me do was kind of something that I wasn't really aiming for. It just wasn't really like like what I've been doing. I felt more comfortable doing my own thing next year, instead of doing what they would have wanted me to do, which like I'm super grateful that they reached out and that like how bad they wanted me. And I'm super grateful to know that there's people out there that want me that bad. And I had to turn that down just because of what they wanted to plan for 2022, and kind of just wasn't like, it just didn't feel like that's what I wanted to do. So I turned that down, and I kind of almost like put like a bet on myself, where like turning that down was kind of like knowing like, okay, well, next year, if I don't get anything, then I'll have to do all this on my own again. Obviously with the support of my parents and my agent or manager, Jimmy Sloan. So it's kind of like, it was like a bet where I was kind of like, well, I could go over here and they would have my bikes that, I'd be able to fly to the rounds, but what they want to do is not really what I want to do. So I was like, I'll take that risk to just bet on myself and just finish out these outdoor rounds and hopefully see if more options become available. And, obviously I'm very grateful that this opportunity popped up. And, moving forward, it's only to finish out the rest of the outdoor season. There's no talk about anything futuristic because the team's full.
Yeah.
Obviously. But I hope that, maybe down the road, maybe more fill-in rides will pop up or, stuff like that until something officially happens where, the big contracts get signed.
Right. Well, I'm sure to some degree, and maybe you haven't even heard it, but I would have to imagine the KTM group has been pretty happy with your performance. You were technically supposed to be an amateur rider for them this year, and you kind of knocked it out of the park in what is now turned into your first full pro career. So I'm not sure if you've even heard any rumblings from them about their satisfaction with how you performed on that bike or not, but maybe that's something that can help you with them potentially in the future, like you said, right?
Yeah, and like not necessarily, big like, factory contracts or just, more so like help with like other things, with like, motors or bikes or whatever. But
yeah,
because I want to stay on the I guess I would say the manufacturer of the brand, the KTM Husqvarna and Gas brand. Because it's the 250 I've ridden, the only 250 I've ever ridden.
yeah.
Obviously, I know that I would be able to gel with any other bike, but I'm really happy with the KTM manufacturer. So, I really hope. I know obviously with Nate Ramsey, I'm still super close with him. I mean, he's my team manager, and he's been a big help, a big part of this whole situation as well. So, it's cool to have him in the corner, and obviously him telling me stuff, where they're all talking about me and stuff. And it's cool to hear that they're stoked and they're excited for what I've been doing and, happy with how I've been doing.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Obviously, this is a great move for you to be able to go onto a factory bike. But is there almost a little bit of, I don't want to say disappointment, maybe bummed that you're not going to be able to like end the full year with the sponsors that have been with you this whole way through, obviously with Thor and 60 and some of the other, now you got to go to Fly and probably wear an Aero helmet, I'm assuming. But is that, maybe a little bit frustrating that, these last two rounds, those guys that helped you all the way here, you got to jump ship a little bit?
It was kind of like not like a weird situation, but it was almost like I thought about that, like for me, I was kind of stoked I was like down to, make this happen and make it work out, do whatever it took to, make this official.
Right.
And my thought on it too was, I would hope that they're happy and stoked for me to get this opportunity. And obviously calling them and letting them know, what was going on was, they're super stoked about it. They're really, really happy for me and, super stoked about it. And obviously doing it the right way is always the best way because I'm never burning those bridges or anything like that. I will always have a family with them. So like, obviously after the season ends, I would eventually probably just go back to them.
Mm-hmm.
But for sure, switching everything head to toe, except for the goggles, it's kind of, I guess I would say exciting in a way too, just to try something different and, compare, because I've never really worn any other boot other than Alpine Star. So it's kind of, I've always seen Garnet and I know Garnet is good, obviously. So it's kind of cool to get the opportunity to kind of switch everything up and just do something a little bit different and just, kind of going back to the point of where I was saying about testing a bunch of stuff or like, testing bike stuff or even testing like gear companies or just trying out new things. And I'm stoked that I'm able to do that.
Fortunately for you, the last two rounds are going to be in your home state, and this weekend it's going to be pretty much a home race for you at Fox Raceway. So there's a lot of positives about not only jumping to a factory bike, but then obviously racing stuff that you're a little bit familiar with. What do you kind of envision being the toughest transition for you this weekend? Will it be jumping into new boots like you're saying, or will it be trying to gel with the team that you haven't worked with this year? Talk me through about what you're thinking about for that.
I'd probably have to say, like, the toughest thing is maybe gonna be, probably, yeah, maybe the boots. I would have to say is probably gonna be the toughest thing, but I don't know to what extent. Is it gonna be tough, or is it, like, from what I can think off the top of my head, I would say the toughest gelling point is going to be the boots, because that's like that's like probably the main part of gear and comfortability and stuff, which I feel like I'll be able to gel with them really good. Obviously, I've never ever ridden with Garnets. So I'm excited to try them out. And I know like I said, I know it's a good boot and a lot of people wear it, and I've never heard any negative about it or negatives about the boot. So I'm stoked to try it out these next couple days, and bring it into the race. And I would probably say, with the bike, since it's pretty much the same setup, the plastics are a little bit different.
Yeah.
And there's obviously little things that are different to the bike compared to my bike, like different motor mounts. And, obviously there's a lot of different factory parts to it than my bike, which I'm super stoked to try out and test and find what's comfortable for me going into this weekend. And also, like you said, these last two rounds being my home state, Paula, I ride all the time. So I'm kind of stoked to, for the race to be a track I always ride at, because I feel like if it was maybe a track I've never ridden at, it might be a little bit more difficult to gel with everything and kind of be comfortable. But I think I'll be comfortable either way. But with it being a home track, it makes it that much better.
Well, all I ever hear from the locals to Paula is that the National is so much different on race day that you can't compare to what you guys normally practice on. So maybe it's not even an advantage at that point, right? Because the track's gonna be so different anyway.
No, yeah, that you do have a good point. There's the first, when the first Pro National was at Paula this year, it was like a completely different track. And I was like, this is nothing compared to what we normally practice on. But I think it's more like, I heard the track is going to be flipped around completely
backwards. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And I also heard it from someone, and I heard it over another interview on social media. So I'm super stoked. I haven't seen it in person, but that's what I've heard, like I said. So I'm super stoked for that, because obviously now it's going to be new to everyone. But I think it's more the scenery and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And knowing the elevation, because it has the hills, where when you say like Bud's, I could use Bud's Creek as an example. Having the hills and stuff is kind of like, I've ridden there before. On one of our off weekends, I went out there and rode, me and my buddy Max Miller. And we went out there and rode, and luckily I did, because I think going there would have been a little bit hard to gel with the track, with it being a little bit muddy and stuff. And I guess I could use Unadilla as an example too, with that being my first time ever there, and always only seeing it on TV. It was like, just knowing the scenery and stuff like that. And on TV, everything looks so much different than in person. But I feel like I'm pretty good with gelling to that kind of stuff and blocking everything out and just focusing on the track. But I think Paula will be, cool with having, I guess you could say, like the hometown crowd and all the fans and stuff.
All right. Well, congratulations, Joshua Varize, the newest addition to the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna factory racing program for the last two nationals of the year. Last question I'd like to ask you is just who would you like to thank for helping get you to this point in your career?
I'd like to thank the Lord for keeping me safe, my mom and dad, my little brother, my grandma and grandpa, Jimmy Sloan, Free the Peeps, jsloan.com, Nate Ramsey, and just everyone that's, ever supported me throughout my career. And, it's a privilege for me to do what I love as my career and make it my job. And, and they say, if you're having fun, or I don't know what that saying is, but if what you're doing is fun, you don't work a day in your life or whatever. So, I'm just super grateful for everyone that supported me to help me get to where I am today. There's so many names that, you know, I could name off for hours, but and then obviously the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna team for giving me this opportunity to finish out the last couple rounds for them, and to, you know, hopefully prove to everyone out there that, you know, show them what I can do on a factory bike, and just hopefully really get my name up there in the top 10, and put in some good results and finish out the season strong.
Right on. We'll look for the big number 241 under the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna tent this weekend at Fox Raceway.